It's a lovely good afternoon. Olokapena tikambati mwachoma bwanji kwe mutitambira kuli konse where you're watching us from, and we are coming live from our studios here in Ibex just to give you an overview of what's going to happen tomorrow at where we'll be celebrating Independence Day. And today, for me, I would call it's an how can I call it? Anyway, as time goes by, I'll give you the name of how I want to call this day, or maybe we can just call it we are having an Independence Eve show here live, and I'm your host, Amos. But I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by Patrick Soko. Patrick Soko, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me alongside you.
Without wasting much of our time, Patrick, I don't know. You are geared already. I've seen there's already a Chitenje material up there, though it's not with our colors. So I don't know, how are you preparing yourself for tomorrow, celebrating the Independence 56th?
For us, working in the newsroom, usually the pattern of how we celebrate independence is usually the same. Most of the times we wake up in the morning, at 8 we're at office, and we'll be expected to cover the assignment where the president will be laying leaves, and that's at Freedom Statue. Mm-hmm. So basically, that has been a routine since I became a journalist, and I think tomorrow won't be an exception, because we are expected to cover how the head of state will be actually paying the respects to our heroes who fought for independence. Usually, that's a tradition. Every time the president has to go there, sometimes the head of state invites a guest from outside Zambia to just also celebrate with us the independence. And as journalists, usually we have to go there and cover the proceedings while the people at home get whatever we can produce for them. So even tomorrow, that's what we're expected to do in the morning.
You know, it's funny whereby you've just set your goals already to say that's what you've been doing always.
Yes.
I feel like in as much as you're supposed to cover that event, but there has to be something that you have to treat yourself out to. It's independence. It's time whereby we start noticing it on an angle of, I also need to have fun on such a day. Not just you sticking to work to say, I'm a journalist. Any different way of how you're planning to do it tomorrow. You've been doing the same thing, but any different way that you are planning of doing it.
The only difference probably would be spending time with my family. And, I have to make sure that I work within time so that I could reserve some time for myself and my family. And of course, at least spend some time. Independence is not a political holiday. This is a day where we actually reflect. It's our holiday as a country. And for me personally, I also have to actually make sure that I whichever way would make me comfortable to be happy, that's what I would do. And while you're asking me, I don't even know how we are preparing for independence.
No, I think even for me, my independence would be, and I'll try to squeeze in some time, though I'm supposed to be at work as well. But all in all, I'm sure something will come up. It's something that comes once a year, and just like you've said, it's not something like it's politically affiliated. It's something that we're all destined to have. It's my freedom to say, okay, I'll enjoy it, because I look at celebrating the life of all those heroes who fought for this country to be free, and we're enjoying the freedom right now. And just like we are saying, you can just follow us as well on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV. You can just send us a message there to at least share with us how you'll be spending your independence tomorrow. And if you'd be joining the media, just like Patrick, my colleague here, said, they'll be busy covering the president. If you'll be there, or if there is any other special way that you'd also invite us to share independence with you. But for us today, we won't just look at independence as a whole broad thing, but we just decided to take out one part, and with that part that we decided to take and maybe share our views and ideas on that part, we will have a guest joining us soon, but that guest will be joining us after this very short break.
The first to see the light is the great Kilimanjaro. Beauty is the vast land they call Sahara. As the sun sets in the west, it turns into gold. Beauty is the love of the forefathers who fought for this land we call our home. Which is why today we can celebrate freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. Beauty is the face of the African child, because in it hope for Africa's future lives. Beauty is our hearts if we keep this hope alive. Let's protect and nurture this future generation. Beauty is the struggle of our ancestors who swear to give birth to sweet freedom. That is why today we can celebrate freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. The African child is everyone's child. The African mother is everyone's mother. The African father is everyone's father. The African brother is everyone's brother. The African sister is everyone's sister. The African child. The African mother. The African father. The African child. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Freedom, freedom. Let's celebrate our land. Celebrate our land. Celebrate our land.
Welcome back, and we are still live in our studio. Sorry, here in IBEX, where you're watching us live. Like I said earlier, before we went on a short break, you can also watch us live on Facebook. You can just follow our page, which is Camnet TV, like it, and you can share with us anyway what you are planning to do tomorrow for independence. And like I said, independence is something where it's broad, and when we look at covering it all, it can even take maybe the whole year. So for us, we felt like it would be best to have a discussion on our Zambian national flag to see how best it's more of expresses us as a country and as a whole. And I said to have a guest to help us in doing that. And in the studios here, we have Mr. Chundangesa. Mr. Chundangesa, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And maybe a brief explanation. Mr. Kundangesa is our senior citizen and also the president of the Reasoning Assurance Party, and he'll be sharing or giving a view on how the flag is contributing to us as a nation. So before we get into details, Mr. Ngesa, concerning our topic for today, who is Mr. Ngesa? Because like I said, we just say you are a senior citizen.
Yes. Mr. Charles Chundangesa is a son of of Mr. and Mrs. Ngesa, late. And then I was born in Mufrila. I went to Mufrila Mine School. Thereafter, I went to Tondo Secondary School. And finally, I went to ZNS. ZNS, I got a scholarship at Zambia Institute of Technology. And that was where I was trained as building construction technician. But I happened to upgrade myself to the level of civil engineer technologist. Mm-hmm. Yes, the first time I retired was in 2015. Thereafter, a resolution of statutory instrument was made, whereby I was compelled to serve the local council up to 60 years. 60 years, I did it with Lusaka City Council. That was where I was transferred to. And then right now, I'm retired. I'm as free as a bird in the sky. Yes.
Interesting.
So looking at, when we look at, just like I said, we are looking at the Zambian flag, which was hoisted or raised up on the 23rd at midnight. That was on the 23rd of October 1964. For you, whenever you see the national flag, how do you connect with it?
Okay, basically it's known that green stands for vegetation, black for the people of Zambia, red for the blood that was shed, then orange for the minerals, then the eagle for freedom. Now, at 56, to me, I would like to think outside the box. I would look at green as Dr. Kenneth Kaunda saying, Banavandi, Ineponka Pelela, treat that as your strongest base. That is okay. If you are coming on the road, you find traffic lights indicating green. Mm-hmm. Do you stop?
No.
You continue. So him was saying that Vanavandi, life is a continuous process where I end. Treat that as your strongest base. That is why he built Tazama pipeline all the way from Dar es Salaam into Ndola. Of course, that is crude oil. Crude oil is refined into petrol, diesel, kerosene, jet fuel, and tar. 5 products. So us who have come after Batatawa Kaunda should pick it up from there, construct 5 different pipelines, which of course will have to go to Kasumbalesa. Kasumbalesa, it's a border place of Chidirabombwe, meaning that sales depot is now targeting Burundi, Rwanda, Congo DR, and Congo Brazzaville. Believe you me, there is no country that can do without oils. We all need oils, and that is a sure market. Now, if we were to do such kind of a thing, it means that number 1, we'll end Forex. Number 2, we'll create job opportunities. Number 3, we'll create business opportunities. Number 4, we would look to be a smart Zambia in reality. And then number 5, we'll preserve on the lifespan of our roads, because those tracks which come from Congo, they go through Zambia to Dar es Salaam to get fuel. They will be ending at Kasumbalesa, meaning our roads are now going to be preserved. Then there is black, orange, and red. They are attached to one another, meaning, my children, you have got to be united. You are 73 tribes, and you are found in one region, and the only option that you have is to be united into one. Get attached to one another. Then black, orange, and red, those color bars, they are of the same height, same breadth. What does that mean? It means it's like in the face of tribal supremacy or inferiority complex, no people work together properly. There is a lot of disunity. There is a lot of suspicion. Then black, orange, and red, meaning Banavandi, Chalo, Tachitalanga Musunga. There will always be problems, but don't ever let the problems downtrodden you. That's why we have the ego above the three calibers. Now, that ego, it's portrayed to have claws. What does that mean? It means, Banavandi, whatever the Almighty God has given you, look after it jealously, with that great sense of responsibility. Then we come to the ego. It has got two legs, meaning, my children, nobody in this world will ever justify you, will ever protect you. Look at this. Zambia is a country that contributes not less than 4,672 truckloads of copper. That is my 30 tons. But look at the way we are being treated. And you see, that is a very big contribution. Our kwacha is always going down. And believe you me, the entire electronic, the global electronic and electrical conductions, they depend on copper. So, you see, it's like when Jesus Christ at one time said, "Now kwata menso, but tawule mona. Now kwata matwi, but tawule umfwa." We always see new vehicles being made. So our copper does not have a down moment. It's a matter of I can say quite ifundata lichenjela mwene wefunde uchenjela. Nangu twinga kwate ba copper ba msamushana. If we are not applying ourselves, we are not defending ourselves, we are not justifying ourselves, I think nishkonkati pabule ben. Then the ego has got wings. Meaning bana bandi chalunga chile chinja. Nemubene mufire mule chinja. Okay, some time back, to buy a car, one had to get into the car showroom to buy a car. Now this time it's like I can view the car on my camera, on my phone, pay on my phone, the next day I get my vehicle. Now, here is our copper. We let it go. And yet people are on internet. They have got websites. We can be able to get whoever consumer. So you see, it's like the bars of copper are 5. What if the Germans get 2? How many are we remaining with? 3. Something that you can count. You give it to your friend. If we can have the Lusaka Stock Exchange, to me, it means we can as well have Lusaka Metal Exchange. People coming to Zambia to get the copper. Because copper is not a dull seller. No. It's something that sells highly. Then we look at the ego again. It has got wings. What does that mean? It means, my dear children, economy has got to balance. You do construction, you do mining, you do trade and commerce, you do farming. Now, earlier on, we had ZECO, Zambia Engineering Construction Company. It's no longer there. Some time back, we used to have ZCBC, then ZOC, but those ones are again gone, where they have been replaced with something else. Then the ego has got an eye, meaning, Mwanawandi, don't ever close your eyes. The moment you close your eyes, you find all your raw materials gone. Now, if a white man tells you that within 30 years your copper is going to finish, the best thing that we are supposed to do is ask him, what are your levels of production? If he gives you the levels of production, then we go to, we used to have production brochures with Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. You go and compare. You find that the copper that we used to mine in 30 days, that is what is being mined in 1 day. So you write out, sorry, I'm so arithmetical. you write out a simple proportion. 30 years over 1 day, side yabasungu, then equal to X years over 30 days.
30 days.
Then you make X the subject of the formula. The answer that you get is 900. Now, a young man joins the mines at 20 years. He works for a certain period of time, which we'll call Z years. Then at 55, he retires. What does that mean? According to the law of algebra, matters of the same character, you can write them as a single equation. 20 are years, Z are years, 55 are years. So we can write 20 years plus Z years is equal to 55 years. What is Z? The answer is 35. So how many 35s do we have in 30 years? The answer is 0.8 and some figures. Even a 1 hasn't been found. So it means nobody is going to get pension. Then, if you say 900 years divided by 35, how many times? 25.71 generations. It means you can work I can work in the mines, I retire. My son joins the mines, he retires. My grandchild comes and works in the mines. Then the grandchild of my son comes and works in the mines. It goes and goes and goes on like that.
There is a lot to what our flag stands for, and Mr. Patrick, I don't know, when you look at the ego, just like you've said, you've more described how the crows are, and in short, for me, whatever I've gotten, I would say you've made the green as a whole, which is a nation, and the colors that are there, which is red, orange, and black, are us, the people.
Yes.
And for me, but I would ask this question: when we look at the ego, we are looking at the freedom that we have. But would you say we still have the same freedom that was there, the freedom that our forefathers fought for?
I think we are losing our freedom bit by bit because of the dates that have been contracted. Right now, they are standing, some source, a World Bank indicated that about, we owe them about 27.50 billion United States dollars. Yeah. And if we don't mind about that, we will end up losing our country. The reason why I'm saying that is there was a story on Radio Phoenix whereby they said International Court of Justice had adjudicated on a piece of an island which is used by the Americans as a military base. Now, if they can adjudicate on a matter like that, what of us? We have eaten people's money. We should be concerned and we should be worried. Look at what happened. There is this barber shop at Manda Hill, whereby a Zambian walked in. He was chased out. He was chased out, foreigner. Now, if you start analyzing, why did this Chinese man behave like this? Number one, when coming to Zambia, there is Chinese immigration. If he's found to be cockeye upstairs, he won't be allowed to come to Zambia. And then here in Zambia, we have got the immigration. Now, the immigration to allow him, they should be satisfied with his mental stability. So those guys, they are under an impression that since the Zambian people have failed to pay the money, the land is becoming yours, has become yours. That's why he behaved like that. Suppose me, I come to your house and I start chasing you from your sitting room. What does that mean? It means I've gotten your house. I've gotten your house. And mind you, when we are borrowing money, then he's signing, eh? What does that signing mean? It means that we are bound. We are bound.
I don't know, Patrick, when you look at it, do you feel like maybe for you, I would ask it direct in a way of media, a way of being. How is your freedom in terms of operating your services as a media personnel?
Well, that would be a very broad question to ask me, but it depends in which angle. But generally, if we were to take it in the context of based on the reports that have been released by institutions like Mr. Zambia, they indicate that there has been a shrinking freedoms for the media freedoms in the country. So, like when we talk about that, we mean issues like limiting the cyberspace. We're seeing, for example, the government is developing cyber laws. That's to ensure that they promote a situation where people use social media responsibly. But these cyber laws also come with their consequences. And these consequences are what people, and for instance, the media industry is concerned about, because they may end up also affecting their freedom to express themselves, to write or inform the people. So, for example, if you talk about that, that would amount to limiting media freedoms. So, in other ways, sometimes you'd see, you see, sometimes the journalists are caught up in between. Just like yesterday, there was a seminar of political parties, the media and the police. I think it was noticed that, for example, journalists are working under a tense environment, especially due to political reasons, where, for example, a media house would be hosting a guest who might not be in good books with the ruling. Then some supporters would feel, no, they shouldn't host that person. So the opposition would also do the same. You would see, they would think, they would try to intimidate journalists, even as the journalist is just a messenger. You see, so those things are the things that, for example, would leave to us in the media industry to say as affecting our media freedoms. And if our freedoms are limited as journalists, it means our ability to communicate effectively to the people are reduced.
Maybe let me just end the question now. Now, away from your professionalism, you as just a person, you as a Zambian, do you feel your freedom is still there? Just as a Zambian, an individual, you?
That's a general question. But personally, I'll tell you my freedom, I still enjoy my freedom based on what I do.
Okay.
And what, as long as I do not infringe in other people's rights as well. You should also understand that freedoms also have limitations. Where my freedom starts, maybe that's where I think that's where my freedom ends. That's where
someone's freedom starts.
Yes. So all those things need to be put into context. But usually, generally, there is that shrinking media freedom. And being a media practitioner, I equally feel it.
Okay. Any
Yes.
question for Mr. Ngeni? Yes, sorry.
So for me, Mr. Ngesa, my immediate question to you would be, we've enjoyed 56 years of self-governance, but are we comfortable to state that we are equally economically free?
No, we are not equally economically free, in that there are, I'm repeating myself, there are some debts that are outstanding. Then prices of service and goods is so prohibitive. That's where I sort of say we don't have that total freedom. We are not producing our own goods. It's like we are just importing. So to me, there is no freedom that I can write home about.
So you are equally a leader, and we would also want to know how best as a country can we start making sure that we gain in political and economic freedom.
Economical.
What are some of the process that would you recommend?
Do you know that this country is very rich? And you see, the problem that we have in Zambia is there is just too much money going out of our country. leaving behind abject poverty. And to me, the best thing that can happen at 60 years, 56 years, it's a matter of starting to reconstruct our country back to what we used to be. And I'm telling you, the minimum amount of money that this country can raise annually, it's not less than 1,665.10 billion kwacha. Meaning, even these debts that we have, we can pay. Meaning, the power outage we are experiencing, we can get rid of it. Meaning, we can afford selling $1 at 5 kwacha. We can as well afford banking with World Bank not less than 20 billion kwacha every year. I've done a research and I'm capable of defending what I'm saying.
I think for me, I would go to an issue of you being a senior citizen.
Yes.
You've been there.
I've been there.
You've been in the you've been in the Kaunda era.
Yes.
You've been in the late Manawasa era.
Yes.
So how does it feel like looking at the way our economy was doing back then and the way it is right now?
Let me just bring in this funny story. So when I was a little boy, somewhere like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So every year on 24th October, we used to assemble in Shinde Stadium. And then we are given a bottle of Coca-Cola. And at that time, a bottle of Coca-Cola was something else. So I kept on wondering, but this man, he loves us. Giving us this food. You see, it was because the economy was very good. That's why the man used to give us those drinks at Independence and the buns. And I'm telling you, my Independence celebration was meaningful to me at that time.
Would you say we would say our celebration for tomorrow will be disrupted due to COVID issues?
COVID issues, it's something that has been, COVID is something that has been accepted, and we are saying that it's a new normal. So there won't be any disruption. It's just a matter of observing things like washing of the hands, putting a mask. By the way, I have a mask.
We all have a mask.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the major thing, I feel like if I was to look at our heroes who fought for our country, for the freedom that I, as Amos, is enjoying today,
Yes.
would you say we are honoring them in a way that they are supposed to be honored?
Because honoring of a person is by holding on to things that he believed in to bring about this thing. You know, there was that unit where people were working together. There weren't any fightings as we are experiencing. Yes.
My journalist friend,
So basically, we also want to understand a bit how can we ensure that we continue to inculcate this culture of celebrating this day into the coming generations. How can we sustain this culture? What is the best approach we should take as a country?
I think the best approach would be never to leave history out of our lives. We have to be talking about the great thing that we got, that is our political independence. We parents, parents out there, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, they should be talking about this thing. Yes.
Do you feel like when we look at our history book, Antobolo, the word, I don't know if it's Antobolo, I feel like there's no much feel in terms of our culture as Zambia. Mostly whatever we find in a book of history is broken human. But for me, I would feel like, isn't that the contribution to say we are losing our independence culture bit by bit because we are not impacting it in schools in terms of teaching our young generation?
I think history, it's not something that should be done away with. It should be something that we should cherish and treasure. Talk about it time and again.
So, like I introduced you earlier, you are the president of Reasoning Assurance Party.
Yes.
And I would say, what do you say, or what would be your advice to these other political parties in terms of the independence celebrations?
I think it's a matter of being united. Let us all put our heads onto one single thing, that is freedom. Let us celebrate it nicely.
Do you see political parties joining hands tomorrow, celebrating this big day? Because like we said, it's not politically affiliated. It's for each and every Zambian who is there. But are you seeing, or you yourself, are you going to participate as a party?
Yes, we were supposed to be in attendance. Yeah?
Okay.
But then there is a restriction that only 100 people are supposed to be at the State House. And apparently, we were thinking that maybe we can do it on a Thursday. But Thursday turned out to be too late.
Okay.
Otherwise, we were supposed to be there.
Okay.
There are other, there's this, I would say there's this dividing per se, where a lot of people feel like independence, mostly it's just for the political party that is in government. I don't know what's your take on that.
I think we are all enjoying freedom. It's for everybody. It's just that we have taken connotations that are controversial. Otherwise, it's for each and every one of us.
Yeah, we've seen political parties say no, we won't attend. This is a PF gathering, but like a political party like yours, you are telling us that it is not necessary. It's a day to unite. But why do you think so? And why do you think others should emulate your gesture?
I think my gesture should be emulated in that we have got that one single thing, freedom, which is common to all of us. It's something that has got to be cherished, treasured, celebrated. And you see, we need one another. We need one another. Now, how are you going to behave if you are keeping away from your friends? The only way you will behave is associating with them.
So you as a political party, as Reasoning Assurance Party, how do you plan to voice out freedom as a party?
To voice out the freedom as a party.
Mm-hmm.
We intend never to keep quiet, but ever to be talking and be educative to each and every one of the Zambians. Wherever an opportunity arises, we'll take advantage of that.
And Mr. Soko, how is the media fraternity, mostly I would say journalists, how do you feel like they are contributing in terms of freedom in our country?
Well, for journalists, advocating for freedom or ensuring that freedom is sustained or promoted, it is a core mandate of us as media practitioners. Even as communities, that's why we are even having this program, because we realize that without freedom, it will be difficult for even us to operate accordingly. So for us, we have a responsibility, and as individual journalists, we have a responsibility to ensure that we always promote freedom, because once our people are free, that's the only time we can thrive in every other sector that we have. If we remember, if there's no freedom, you and I cannot work. You and I cannot. There will be no business. You see, we see countries that have experienced conflict, such as Sudan. You see, it's because of lack of freedom that there is suffering. You see, and we as journalists who have a responsibility to always ensure that we tell stories that promote that. Freedom, peace, because minus peace, then we'll be failing in our duties, because a country that is not free is completely ungovernable, you see. So that's why we always have to continuously advocate for media freedom, and no wonder for us as media practitioners, that's our core responsibility.
So in short, we've got a very huge task ahead of us.
Yes, because remember, it is media houses sometimes that lead to conflicts. So it is the same media houses that need the responsibility to ensure that they protect the country.
Mr. Chunda, how in terms of rating?
Chunda is my middle name.
Okay, so Mr. Ngesa.
Yes, please.
Okay, Mr. Ngesa, sorry. How would you rate the freedom that we have now as we go into 2021, which is an election year?
How I rate? There are some people who seem to be more advantageous than the other ones.
When you say that, maybe try to break it down, because maybe someone wants a further explanation to that.
There are some people who are campaigning, but their friends haven't been allowed to start campaigning.
Would you say that's not freedom?
It's a freedom that is sort of biased.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In terms of
coverage, assembling, gathering. Yes.
When you say coverage, oh, you have something maybe.
Yeah, we saw Mr. Ngesa during a meeting that
At
was
Mulungushi.
At Mulungushi. Yeah, we didn't see your SG there. How is the membership of your party? Is it that arrangement where we say you are alone or what? On a lighter moment?
No. You see.
And maybe before we go further, for the viewers who are just joining us, we are watching a very special show that's leading you to tomorrow. We are trying to give you the zeal and more of the steam for you to enjoy the Independence celebration tomorrow. So for this show, I would call it's an Independence Eve show, and we've got Mr. Ngesa in studios with us here. And you can also watch us live on our Facebook page, which is Camnet. You can just follow it there, like it, and you can just give us a shout out in terms of what you're going to be doing tomorrow. But before we continue with the freedom that we are talking about here, we just take a very short break and we'll be right back.
Waisa kuchipona chenu mwetata ufweni kulila kwesu kwebana benu twalitenda o mwami kambo balilelegedwe baita asindalia
ikulo shakale shalefuka mapanshi no kuita peshi nalie Kavalu fyanya Vale kumpula panshi no kuita peshi nalie
Natukule Chalo trespi kwe patiliwe chakane Watu ama wabula bamupashi bakulapa.
Kusakwilila kumwane kalombo zambidi ukweti sampia kisu
Imulo shakale shalefuka mapanshi no kuwela kumafunde yenu nabalufyanya balefuka mapanshi no kwita peshina yenu
Natukule ichalo chesu kachiliwe chakale Batuwa wakule wabula wamupashi bakule
but we are one. When we put our hands together, the Lord has promised a blessing to us, Zambia. Even when the enemy may rise like a flood, the Lord will raise a standard by His Spirit. And the promises of the blessing of the Lord. Because the word of God says, blessed is the nation and the people whose God is the Lord. Zambia, you are blessed. As one Zambia and one nation, let us forge together. We will see the light. We will make it finding loving. We will make it finding
For those who are just joining us, we are live here in our studios in Ibex, where we are looking at the freedom. And when I say freedom, I mean in readiness for tomorrow, our big day, which is Independence Day. And for those of you who want to watch us live, you can watch us live on Facebook. Follow our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV. Like it, and you can share a word or two on how you are going to spend your Independence Day tomorrow, because for us it's work. But then we'll try to find time to squeeze in to have fun. And Mr. Ngesa, I would say here we are discussing things to say there are people who would call freedom fighters who shed their blood for our country. But when we look at it now, it's a different scenario. We are seeing us youths being used as tools of violence, where we are shedding blood for other people's personal gain. What would be your advice to us, the young ones?
I think my advice to you, the young ones, is you stay away from fights. The best fight that you can be in is fighting, not physical confrontation. And then in fighting, what comes out of there is death. And once death comes about, there are no two ways. The next thing is just a barrier.
Okay, a quick one.
And we, the parents, let's be in there forefront to teach our children never to involve ourselves in violent things. Never to involve. The children should not involve themselves in violent things.
A quick one, Mr. Ngesa. Earlier you said something concerning what our father, Dr. KK, said, to say where you were explaining on the green. But you just touched a sneak bit on it. Maybe you can make it broad a bit in just 2 minutes.
Okay, green, it also means agricultural activities. It should be more pronounced. Because you see, insala tempulirwa, insala nindiminwa. Let's always have food so that we will command a lot of respect as a nation. So, agriculture should be pronounced widely in this land. Perhaps if we can have nitrogen chemicals distributed, factories in each and every province, will be a better people. Let's realize this. We have got the Congolese, they are looking forward to us. We have got the Malawans. We have got the Tanzanians. They are all looking forward to us. So, we should be a green revolution, so to speak.
Patrick.
Interesting.
Patrick, what's your take on it? You know, like I said, we are running away from what our forefathers fought for, which is the freedom. Mm-hmm. And now we are being used as tools, as youths. We are shedding our blood for personal gain. As the media, as journalists, what would be your advice?
Well, generally the story about violence has always been in the media, and especially as we go towards the elections, it will be more pronounced. You see, like our senior citizen there has alluded to, violence does not pay. You see, and if I am to borrow his words, if we were to go back to the land, if we involve ourselves in agriculture, things that can help us steer productivity as a country, for example, there will be no need for us to be worrying about these issues of violence, because people who are involved in violence, it is their source of living most of the times, you see. So it's because they don't have jobs, you see. That's why they end up being used for violence. but we have a responsibility as a media to continuously preach against violence, and that I think we'll continuously do.
Your final words, Mr. Ngesa.
My final words. Nobody is above Zambia. Zambia is greater than each and every one of us. Let us work towards the goodness of this country. We have no place where we can run to other than Zambia. We have earned respect as a peaceful country. I think that one has got to be treasured very much.
Anyway, that said, you've been watching, for me, I'm calling it Independence Eve here on Camnet, and we had our guest, who is Mr. Ngesa, who is giving us a lot of advice in terms of what to stay away from, and I would advise all my fellow youths to continue staying away from bad vices and celebrate responsibly tomorrow. Don't overuse your freedom, because again, once overused, you find yourself failing or falling in a ditch. And we've come to the end of the show, and I've been your host, Amos, not forgetting Patrick, my co-host, and thank you to Mr. Ngesa and to the whole entire production team that made this program to be here. We'll catch you tomorrow for other exciting shows that will be there. For now, we say bye-bye, enjoy responsibly.